So our next and last speaker on this panel is Kohl Crecelius. And Kohl is the CEO and co-founder of the nonprofit lifestyle brand Crochet Kids International. His passions drive him to connect people around the world through great product. Hats, accessories, and apparel are made in developing countries and signed by the person who made them. In this way, supporters of Crochet Kids can know who and how they are helping by visiting the organization's website. His team of close friends is on a mission to revolutionize what it means to do business and to do good. Cool. Very nice to see you. Good luck.
Oh, is that my intro music? I don't know if I got to choose that. I probably would have chosen a little bit differently. Hi guys, my name's Kohl. Yes, I wear a beanie every day of my life. No, it's not because I'm balding, but it will come in handy when that happens one day. So I'm just gonna stick through on that trend until it does. I'm here to talk a little bit about my organization, Crochet Kids International, and a little bit of our experience as starting something as millennials, and really this idea that there are 4 big myths that I believe we all believe about changing the world. Before I get there though, I first of all want to say thank you to MCON. Thank you to this amazing peer group of people that are asking hard questions, that are having a great conversation about how are we using our skills and gifts and talents to make an impact in our workplaces and in our world. So really happy and excited to be a part of that and excited to get to share with you all. But before I get into the myths and these like super wise ideas that you're all gonna love and want to tweet or what have you, I want to share with you guys a little bit about my story because it's important context to know who I am and where I'm coming from. So a major event happened in my life when I was in high school. We're going back. We're going there. And it was at that time that I learned how to crochet. I am a crocheter. Any other knitters or crocheters out there? Yes. 2, my people. My older brother came home after his first semester in his freshman year of college, and he was crocheting. And I don't know what your older siblings taught you when they came back from their first semester of college, maybe a keg stand or something. My older brother taught me how to crochet, and I have to tell you that I fell in love with the craft, the idea of creating, and I quickly taught 2 of my good friends, and what simply stemmed out of this idea of the love for making things was a business. We were always entrepreneurial in nature, and at that point, we were living in the Northwest, growing up there, skiing and snowboarding. It was wintertime. We started a custom beanie making business. And we had one goal in mind at that point in our life as high school juniors and seniors, and that was our senior prom. So this was us. We didn't spend money on anything that we made from our hat sales, but we spent it on our senior prom on these beautiful tuxes. I went with the baby blue, obviously. I don't know what those other guys were thinking. Ruffles, cummerbunds. We rented a hot air balloon ride for our prom dates. We rented out a roller skating rink for our friends, and we were like, life has reached its pinnacle. Like, I literally think it's only going downhill from here, and I was kind of depressed about that. But hopefully, you guys can relate, and you'll know that there's more to life than your senior prom. If you are still questioning that, we can talk after, because I'm a little concerned about you. But from there, we kind of tried to put crocheting behind us, and we had instead opportunities to travel. We were always trying to understand the context of poverty and these statistics that we've heard and how we were supposed to interact or relate with those. We, in different capacities, would travel during our summer breaks of college, and at one point found ourselves in Uganda. And some of you are probably familiar with the story that has unfolded there over the last 2 decades. 2.5 now, but rebel army terrorizing the region. People were put in these refugee camps. They're essentially refugees in their own country. Hundreds of aid organizations flocked there, and by the time we arrived, we were asking the same questions we'd ask whenever we travel, which was, how could we help? Is there anything that we could do to be of help? And the response that we got was really interesting because people looked at us and they said, we want to work. We want to be the ones that provide for ourselves and our families. We don't want aid organizations coming in trying to do that for us. We want to be the masters of our own destiny. And for us, 8-9 years ago, when we were hearing this, was really interesting concept, because we had grown up understanding one thing about charity and of our relationship of how we were to help people living in need. And that was that we had things. We live in an affluent country, so we need to give of our things. And these people are looking us in the face and saying, we don't want your things. We want opportunities to do this ourselves. And we were looking around at every other aid organization, many of which in that region were just providing the temporary assistance for the next day, for the next week or month. And we had a conflict. We didn't know what to do with that. And we started to ask more and more people, and the response that we often got was, well, you guys know how to crochet. You could teach them how to do that. And we're like, we tried to leave the crocheting thing behind us. Like, this is crocheting over here. We're talking about global poverty over here. We need a bigger solution here, right? And the more and more we thought about, and the more people we talked to, the more we realized that it was in its simplicity, that it was so beautiful and so tangible. It was something we knew how to do also. And so that's what we did. We went back to Uganda the summer in 2007. It was the summer before I graduated college, and we taught 10 ladies how to crochet. Taught them with the hope and the desire to equip them with the tools and skills that they would need to break the cycle of poverty and empower them to do so. So we did that. And today, Crochet Kids International is now working with 150 women in northern Uganda, 30 women in Lima, Peru, walking them through not only a job through the production of the goods that we make, but we also walk them through a 3-year education curriculum, as well as a one-on-one mentorship program with the ultimate goal that they would be able to graduate from our programs, graduate with all the finances and the resources and the knowledge they would need to lead their own independent careers. And that is what we call empowerment, and that's why we exist. The beauty of the work that happens, though, is that we make really great products. We're a lifestyle brand, so we make headwear, we make apparel, we make all kinds of things, and we today still remain as a nonprofit organization, but through this earned income model, we actually generate 85% of our revenue through our product sales, and with the hopes over the next 3 to 5 years that would actually be 100% of our operational revenue would be happening through product sales. So hats, we also make bags and cool stuff that you just want to wear and take with you wherever you go. The thing about them is that every piece is hand-signed by the lady that made it. So you can know and visit our website and see her profile and even write her a thank you note. So that's us. But I didn't come here just to talk about myself or my organization. I came here to talk about 4 things that I believe millennials and all people are kind of caught up on and preventing them from actually making change in their communities and in their world. And the first thing is this, that there's this belief that people need to wait for some sort of permission or validation before they start taking steps forward in pursuing their passions or starting to change the world in some way. I think whether it's because it's the pressure that we put on ourselves or family pressure or just society in general, there's this step-by-step program that we're kind of programmed to think about, and that's that you need to go and you need to go to school, and maybe once you graduate, then you'll have the tools and resources to step out and make a difference. Or maybe it's not until you get that good paying job and then you make a good sum of money, and once you have a good sum of money, then you can actually make a difference and make an impact in the world because you have the money, you have the resources, you have the knowledge to do so. But I can tell you this, that from our experience, that's really not, couldn't be further from the truth because of 2 reasons. And the first is this, that I think if we would have kept going through school and kept learning and got a degree and then a second degree, we probably would have learned that our idea was impossible or that it wasn't practical or that it couldn't have actually happened because who starts a headwear company in Uganda? Honestly. But we didn't, and today, even Craig just earlier was talking about naivety. And that's something that we celebrate as an organization that we did early on and can look back and say, wow, I'm so glad we were naive and we didn't listen to everyone around us or didn't wait till we had all of those things. The second thing is just that when it comes to making a difference, that you can't wait until you have that perfect plan, until you have everything in line. Because if you wait for that, it will never come, and you'll be stuck in the same place that you started. So this is going to be kind of confusing because I'm talking about the second thing, but it says 3. But I really wanted to count down from 4 because it seemed like a lot more dramatic. So you guys would be on the edge of your seat, like, what is going to happen after number 1? So the second thing is this, that I feel like there's a myth that people think that you have to be exceptionally talented or some sort of genius to start making a difference. That it's too easy. We have this celebrity culture, whether it's the people we see on the movie screen or the nonprofit organizations or the social good businesses that we look at, and we say, wow, look at these people. They're so smart. Look at these things that they're doing. It must be because of the connections or the relationships they have, the money that they had to begin doing that. I'm glad that they're doing that because they can. I can't do it. I don't have any skill or anything to offer. But I'm here to tell you guys that you have no excuse because we used crocheting. I mean, if a skill that's usually reserved for elderly mothers and grandmothers can actually be thought about a little bit differently and utilized in a way that's empowering people to rise above poverty, that there are skills and talents in this room and online, whoever's watching, that you can use. The things that you already know how to do can make an incredible difference. And I would just encourage you to be thinking about those things. It's not about thinking about something that you don't know how to do and trying to seek that out to say, oh, I need to change the world, but I need to learn how to build a website and a computer and all of these things in order to do that. No, use what you have, use what you know. The third thing that I think is a great myth is this, that you need to start helping thousands of people right away. Scale is important, don't get me wrong, and it's something that you absolutely have to be thinking about. But I've talked to far too many students, millennials, peers, people who say, yeah, I want to change the world, and I want my idea to literally save thousands of people's lives. And there's problems with that. First of all, as I mentioned before, if you're waiting to have that perfect idea, to have everything that you need in order to start taking steps forward, that it won't happen. That doesn't exist. We've already talked in the last couple days about failing. We've talked about failing forward, about failing fast. And I would encourage everyone to start failing sooner. There's really, especially as millennials, there's no better opportunity than what you have right now, which is not too many commitments. Maybe you're halfway through school. Maybe you're just out of college starting a career. Maybe you don't have a family yet. Now is your time to take risks, to take steps forward in thinking about how you can make a difference. Because the truth is that it's never the first idea that's the best, that's going to be the revolutionary thing. But as you try and as you learn and as you fail and as you get up and as you take further steps forward, that's where you are able to actually make the best idea. And believing that means that the faster you start failing, the better off that your idea and what you're trying to accomplish and the people that you'll get to serve and help will be if you start doing that. The last myth that I wanted to share about, these are really exciting slides, huh? 4. I should have had some dramatic 3. But the last thing is this. I think there's a myth that you have to go to Africa in order to start changing the world. And what did we do? We went to Africa to start doing that. So we're not the best example of this myth, honestly. But I think the point is this, that people, that you need to really be be combining the passions, like what you're already good at, what you know, as well as the communities that you're passionate about. Combining those two things is, I feel like, where the strongest and the best ways in which you'll be able to have an impact in this world, because you're utilizing things that you know, and you're making a difference in places that you know. For us, that meant that we had gone to Uganda, that we had a sense for what that looked like. We had met local leaders and already had started building partners on the ground, so that when we stepped back into that, travel and all of that and living abroad was something that we were really passionate about. So for us to be there was something that's so exciting and enlivening for us. But too often I feel like people make the mistake of creating plans and 12-step programs to helping people in places that they've never been. And they show up and they're like, hey, I have the perfect plan for you guys. I have this figured out. And they're looking at you like, you don't even know who we are or what we're about or how our culture, community, or anything functions. And so that's just a danger to be very aware of. I would end in a couple things. You guys got 2 minutes and 17 seconds to hang out with me a little bit longer? The answer is yes, you do, because I have the microphone. But it's this. That kind of derailed me a little bit, to be honest. But the thing that I'd like to leave you guys with is that you are here. There's a quote by Teddy Roosevelt that says, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." And I think what's so beautiful about that is that when it comes to changing the world, when it comes to making an impact on other people's lives, when it comes to just making a dent and leaving your mark, it's about utilizing and marrying this idea of what you're already good at, what you're passionate about, in the places that you already are and that you really want to see change. And that could be your workplace, that could be your community, that could be a different part of the world. But use the things that you have. And if I could summarize that Teddy Roosevelt phrase any simpler, it would just be to start, just to try, just to take a step forward, not worried about the next 20, but just start taking steps. And I think our world will be a lot better if everyone is pursuing the things and utilizing the things that they know how to do and that they're good at and that they're passionate about, and thinking about how those things can love our world in a bigger and better way. Because the reality is that what I do at Crochet Kids, what we do as an organization, isn't enough. What anyone on this stage, solely what they do isn't enough, but you see people pursuing their passions and making a difference in ways that really matters to a specific group of people. And that's all we can ask for. So thank you guys so much for having me. And I think we're going to answer some questions now.
That's so cool. Hello?
I have a question for you.
Uh-oh. Okay.
How did you get the Britney Spears microphone? And I got this normal.
Excuse me. Okay.
Chest, kind of blends in with my buttons, but.
It was referenced backstage as Madonna. Okay,
Madonna.
come on,
Wow.
come on. Yeah.
That's my millennial.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just get right there.
Millennial reference.
Yeah. Really great chronological order on the slides. I think that was.
I can count.
Yeah.
I can count forward and backward is what I learned from the slides. Yeah.
It was great. It was great. So you talked a lot about what your story in the Passion for Crochet Kids became, and I would love to hear a little bit more about what your most memorable experience has been with somebody that you met who's made one of your products.
Yeah.
And why.
I'll say two. One was literally we had my two other friends and I, the same guys that crocheted with me in high school, and then a group of about 7 others from our college went to Uganda, and we brought literally bags of yarn, crochet hooks, and we sat down with these 10 ladies that had been identified by local organizations as women who would really value and take part in a great program like we're trying to put together. And we sat there and we were like, what if these ladies can't crochet? Like, we hadn't like crossed our mind before that moment. And I was working with a lady named Alice, and she did fantastic on her first hat, and just like was a stunning example of the capabilities of people that we too often just kind of write off or dismiss as living in poverty and not being capable of marking their own path forward. And the other thing that I'd share real quickly is that recently within the last 9 months, we had one of our first graduates of the Crochet Kids program. Oh, cool. Beatrice had taken her opportunity while at Crochet Kids, to save up the money and access capital to start 3 other businesses. So she is taking care of her family and even employing 12 of her community members. Outside of any help from Crochet Kids or any aid organization at all. And that is like music to my soul.
That's so great. Do you know who made that hat?
Yes.
Who made that hat?
Magdalena Roman from Peru, from Crochet Kids Peru. This is a brand new one. I usually, I find my staple hat and I literally wear a hat every day.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, how do you provide supporters or consumers of your brand with information on the impact that their individual purchases are making? Mm-hmm. I know you can go to the website, but is there a way to track how the person is doing, or kind of follow up with their story, or what is available there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as you mentioned, the best way is to go and learn specifically about the woman's story that made your product through our website. The one thing that we do pride ourselves on a lot also is our monitoring and evaluation of our impact. And so through our mentorship program that we have, we're measuring over 40 different key indicators every month per individual as to the progress they're making as they take steps out of poverty. And before we're in the stage of like understanding how to make that information more accessible, but what we do have is weekly, we have a news story of one of our ladies in the steps that she's taking. We have an opportunity to learn about the different trainings that we're doing week in and week out with our programs in both Uganda and Peru. And then we also publish an annual report. We're proudly a nonprofit organization, and we're excited about the transparency that we get to provide in that, so people can understand who we are and what we're about and why we exist and how we spend our money and the impact. We do summaries every year surrounding that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that you guys have marketed yourself is as a lifestyle brand. Mm-hmm. And we've got a question here that a lot of apparel makers do that. It's kind of very in vogue these days. What does that mean specifically for Crochet Kids? What does it mean to be a lifestyle brand for you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so I think initially, as a part of my story, even we started as a headwear company. And it was because it was what we knew how to make. Yeah. But we quickly saw the need and a couple things to expand that. One was that not everyone wears a hat every single day, even when it's 80 in Chicago. And so needing to diversify the products that we offered so that we could have a more consistent selling cycle throughout the year. And the other thing is that as we expanded, we went to Peru and we saw that there was more opportunities to do more types of products as well. Instead of just doing knitting or crocheting and doing headwear or pieces that were related to that, we saw there was a great industry and a great opportunity to train women in sewing and sewing construction. And so the opportunity there was that we could make more products that would help us be more sustainable throughout the year, and we would get to employ more people. And so a lifestyle brand is more opening up the door to say that we could be creating any type of product. It's not necessarily important what that specific product is. It's more important about the woman that's behind it and knowing that every single piece that we make is hand signed by the woman who made it, no matter if it's a t-shirt or a bag or anything. And so that was us kind of opening up our scope to say this could be a lot of different things and could mean things throughout the year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have our next. Are you pursuing education to increase your capacity, or do you hire people to do the work for you and focus on the mission?
That's a good question. And I don't know what is specifically meant by education, like for me personally, or for...
Maybe for the people in your program on the ground.
Yeah, for the program on the ground, we definitely work with a lot of partners. We work with experts in the areas. And so what's really great is, I've talked already a lot about our mentorship program. Yep. We have a one-on-one mentorship program. So our mentors are oftentimes bringing our curriculum to life and doing different trainings when it's within their skill set, whether it's functional adult literacy or budget and savings training. Mm-hmm. But we also bring in partners from the surrounding area to do trainings on AIDS prevention, do trainings on health and family planning, a whole other variety of things that come and bring their skills and their core competencies to our work, and then our mentors get to follow up and see how our beneficiaries are utilizing that new learning in their life.
Fantastic. Yeah. One of my favorite things that you said, and I know that resonated with a lot of people, is that you don't have to wait for this perfect series of circumstances. You can just do it right now. And I have some questions coming in about, what's the best place to start, right? If you don't want to go abroad, if you don't want to go to Africa, with your local context, like what are the questions you should be asking yourself to frame your approach so that it doesn't feel overwhelming?
Yeah, I think one thing from my experience is that it was really important to understand who immediately around me was passionate about the same things. Okay. So that we could build a support system in our idea, because too often people also want to just step out on their own and say, this is me, this is my idea, I'm gonna safeguard it here, and I want people to know that I was the one to come up with this and to protect this. When you're talking about like helping and making an impact, it's so much more about who shares that same passion and vision as you, and how can you guys collectively come together and understand steps that you can be making forward. And then the other thing, honestly, is just start talking about it. Yeah. And it was something that I learned when I was in college. I think it was in a management class or something. I don't know the exact principle that is stated or what the phrase is, but it's basically saying, like, as you speak it, it is much more highly likely that it'll come into reality. As you are talking about it, it's scary, but you have to put yourself out there and say, I have this idea, or I want to make an impact here. And that's the only way you'll really find, as you step out on that limb, whether people are there and excited about that, or if the questions that come, how you need to reframe or rethink about what you want to do. Or you find some great partners in that process as well.
Fantastic. So in our last 15 seconds, out of you and your buddies.
No pressure.
No pressure. Who crochets the best?
Oh, so this is going to be the total cop-out answer.
No.
I am the tactical one, so okay. I can probably crochet the best.
Okay.
Travis can crochet the fastest.
Okay.
And Stuart was the most creative. So he would come up with the craziest hats known to man.
Great. All right. So buy one of Stuart's hats, maybe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kara.
Fantastic. Thank you.